The Galactic Council demands humans stop being so adorable, ends in disaster. Part 1. The Galactic Decree. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with tension. Hundreds of alien species from across the universe filled the room. They came in all shapes and sizes, some with tentacles, others with multiple eyes, and a few that looked like floating clouds of gas. Despite their differences, they all shared one common feeling: annoyance. At the center of the hall stood Zorlax, the head of the council. His blue skin shimmered under the bright lights as he raised all four of his arms to call for quiet. Order, order in the council. Zorlax's voice boomed. The room fell silent. We are here today to discuss a grave matter that threatens the very fabric of our galactic society. A murmur rippled through the crowd. What could be so serious? Zorlax continued, his voice heavy with concern. I speak, of course, about the humans. The room erupted in a cacophony of alien voices. Some hissed, others clicked, and a few let out high-pitched whistles. Zorlax waved his arms again, trying to calm the frenzy. Yes, I know, he said. We've all been affected by their adorableness, shouted a small furry creature from the back. Precisely, Zorlax nodded. Their inexplicable charm and adorableness have become a galactic menace. One by one, representatives from different planets stood up to share their complaints. First was Ambassador Gloop, a blob-like being from the swamp planet Macoria. Every time a human visits our world, they scrunch up their noses and say, it stinks, in the cutest way possible. Now all our younglings are doing it. It's chaos. Next came General Christ of the warrior race Batulians. We invited human diplomats to our sacred war dance. They started doing something called the Macarena instead. Now our fiercest warriors won't stop dancing it. We've become a laughingstock. The complaints kept coming. Humans finding baby Xargans adorable when they were supposed to be terrifying. Humans accidentally charming the unfeeling robot race of Mechanion by tripping over their own feet. Humans making the wise elders of Anchentia giggle with their silly Earth jokes. As the stories piled up, the council grew more and more agitated. Some members started pulling out their head tentacles in frustration. Others melted into puddles of goo from the stress. Zorlax raised his arms once more. It's clear that something must be done. The humans have no idea of the effect they're having on our civilizations. Their cuteness is a weapon of mass disruption. The council members nodded and grunted in agreement. Therefore, Zorlax declared, I propose we issue an official galactic decree. We must demand that humans stop being so adorable immediately. The hall erupted in cheers and alien sounds of approval. Tentacles waved, antennae wiggled, and luminescent beings glowed brighter in excitement. Zorlax smiled, pleased with himself. Very well. Let it be written into the official record. From this day forward, by order of the Galactic Council, humans are hereby commanded to cease all adorable behaviors. A small, timid voice piped up from the crowd. It belonged to Pip, the junior assistant from the planet Curiosity. But how will we enforce this? And what exactly counts as adorable? The room fell silent. Zorlax's smile faded. He hadn't thought that far ahead. We'll figure that out later, he said quickly. For now, let's just get the decree sent to Earth. Surely, once the humans know they're being too cute, they'll stop. Right. The council members looked at each other uncertainly. Deep down, they all had a feeling that this might not go as smoothly as they hoped. But what choice did they have? The adorableness had to be stopped. As the meeting adjourned, none of them could have predicted the chaos that would soon unfold across the galaxy. The humans were about to receive a very strange message from space, and their response would change the universe forever. On a sunny Tuesday morning, life on Earth was going on as usual. People were sipping coffee, scrolling through their phones, and complaining about traffic. Little did they know that their world was about to be turned upside down. In the United Nations headquarters in New York, an emergency meeting was called. World leaders gathered in a large room, their faces a mix of confusion and concern. At the front stood Dr. Emily Chen, head of Earth's newly formed Department of Extraterrestrial Communications. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dr. Chen began, her voice slightly shaky, "we've received a message from the Galactic Council." The room erupted in excited chatter. It wasn't every day that Earth got space mail. Dr. Chen held up her hands for quiet. "The message is, well, it's a bit odd. They're demanding that humans stop being so adorable." Silence fell over the room. Then someone in the back started to laugh. Soon, the entire assembly was in stitches. "You can't be serious," said the French president, wiping tears from his eyes. "I'm afraid I am," Dr. Chen replied, trying to keep a straight face. "They've issued an official decree. Apparently, our cuteness is causing problems across the galaxy." As news of the decree spread, reactions around the world were mixed. In Japan, people wondered if their kawaii culture was to blame. In Russia, tough guys tried to look even tougher, just in case. In Canada, citizens politely asked if saying sorry too much was part of the problem. Social media exploded with memes and jokes. #TooAdorableForSpace started trending worldwide. People posted pictures of their pets, asking if they needed to make their cats and dogs less cute too. Meanwhile, scientists and anthropologists scrambled to figure out what exactly made humans so adorable to aliens. They set up research teams, conducted surveys, and even tried to measure the cuteness quotient of different human behaviors. Dr. James Wong, a leading anthropologist, appeared on news channels to share his theories. "It could be our big eyes," he suggested, "or maybe the way we trip over our own feet sometimes. Perhaps aliens find our constant confusion about the universe endearing." But for every theory, there were a dozen questions. Did smiling count as adorable? What about laughing? Was it cute when humans tried to understand complex alien concepts and got it hilariously wrong? As the day wore on, people started to become more self-conscious. They caught themselves doing things they thought might be considered cute and quickly tried to look more serious. In a small town in Ohio, old Mr. Johnson tried to stop feeding pigeons in the park, worried it might be too adorable. But when the birds looked at him sadly, he couldn't resist and ended up giving them extra bread. In a high school in California, teenagers attempted to look cool and aloof, only to burst into giggles every few minutes at the absurdity of the situation. Even world leaders weren't immune. During a press conference, the usually stoic German chancellor accidentally sneezed in a way that could only be described as adorably kitten-like. The video went viral in seconds. As night fell, families around the world gathered to watch the news and discuss the strange turn of events. "Do you think we should try to be less cute?" little Susie asked her parents. Her father chuckled. "I'm not sure we even know how, sweetheart." Her mother nodded in agreement. "Maybe we should just be ourselves. After all, we didn't even know we were being adorable in the first place." As humans went to bed that night, they were filled with a mix of amusement, confusion, and curiosity about what would happen next. Little did they know, their attempts to understand and comply with the alien decree were about to make things much, much worse. In space, members of the Galactic Council watched the humans' reactions with growing alarm. It seemed that the humans, in their adorable confusion, were becoming even more endearing than before. The Council's plan was already backfiring, and this was just the beginning. A week after the Galactic Council's decree, Earth decided to take action. They assembled a team of diplomats to represent humanity and address the adorableness issue directly with the alien races. The team was led by Ambassador Sarah Johnson, known for her no-nonsense attitude and sharp mind. Joining her were Dr. Chen from the Department of Extraterrestrial Communications, a stern-faced military general named Jack Thompson, and to everyone's surprise, a stand-up comedian named Mike Lopez. "We need to show them all sides of humanity," Ambassador Johnson explained when questioned about the odd group. As their spaceship approached the Galactic Council's headquarters, the team tried to practice being less adorable. General Thompson attempted to frown more. Dr. Chen rehearsed complex scientific terms. Mike just shrugged. I'll try not to be funny. The alien greeting party waited as the human ship docked. The leader, a tall, purple being named Psylop, stepped forward to greet them. Welcome, humans. We hope you're ready to discuss your cuteness problem. Ambassador Johnson stepped out first, trying her best to look serious. We appreciate your concerns and are here to address them, she said firmly. But as the rest of the team exited the ship, things started to go awry. Dr. Chen tripped on the ship's ramp, tumbling into General Thompson's arms. The alien diplomats gasped, some even cooing at the sight. Mike, trying to lighten the mood, cracked a joke. Well, that's one way to fall for the military. To everyone's surprise, the aliens burst into laughter. Their tentacles wiggled, and some even changed colors in amusement. Ambassador Johnson facepalmed, realizing this might be harder than they thought. As they walked to the council chambers, more incidents occurred. General Thompson sneezed, making a sound that the aliens found utterly delightful. Dr. Chen's attempts at scientific jargon came out garbled, causing the aliens to tilt their heads in a way that humans would find adorable. By the time they reached the main hall, the alien diplomats were completely charmed. Xylop turned to his assistant and whispered, "They're even cuter in person." The human team took their seats, facing the Galactic Council. Zorlax, the head of the council, called the meeting to order. "Humans," he began, trying to sound stern, "you are here because your species' adorableness is causing galactic chaos. What do you have to say for yourselves?" Ambassador Johnson stood up, ready to deliver her carefully prepared speech. But before she could start, Mike's chair made a loud squeaking noise as he shifted in his seat. The entire council erupted in giggles. Some alien species that communicated through color flashed bright, happy hues. Others wiggled their appendages in joy. Johnson pressed on, determined to be taken seriously. "Esteemed Council, we assure you that we had no intention of disrupting galactic order. We were simply being ourselves." As she spoke, Dr. Chen nodded along so vigorously that her glasses slipped down her nose. She pushed them back up with her finger, a gesture that made several alien diplomats sigh in adoration. General Thompson tried to look imposing, puffing out his chest. But to the aliens, this just made him look like a cute, proud Earth bird. The more the humans tried to be serious, the more endearing they became to the alien races. Every attempt at formality or sternness backfired spectacularly. By the end of the meeting, instead of resolving the issue, the human diplomatic team had inadvertently charmed the entire Galactic Council. Alien representatives were asking for photos with the humans, trying to mimic their gestures, and even asking Mike for more jokes. As the confused human team left the council chambers, they overheard Zorlax muttering to himself, "This is a disaster. They're more adorable than ever." Ambassador Johnson gathered her team. "Well," she said, trying to hide her own amusement, "I think it's safe to say that didn't go as planned." Mike grinned. "Look on the bright side. At least we didn't start an intergalactic war." As they boarded their ship to return to Earth, none of them realized that their failed diplomatic mission was about to spark something much bigger across the galaxy. The age of human adorableness was just beginning. In the weeks following the disastrous diplomatic mission, humans all over Earth tried their best to be less adorable. They thought if they could just be more serious, the aliens would leave them alone. But their efforts had the opposite effect. In New York City, businessmen in sharp suits marched down the streets, faces set in grim determination. They didn't know that hidden alien observers found their purposeful stride and furrowed brows utterly charming. At a beach in Australia, lifeguards stopped running in slow motion, worried it might be too attractive. Instead, they power-walked awkwardly across the sand, causing visiting alien tourists to coo in delight at the silly human gait. Even in the serious halls of government, things were getting out of hand. During a UN meeting, world leaders tried to look as stern as possible, but when the Canadian Prime Minister accidentally spilled water on himself and let out a surprised, "Oh, Maple," the watching aliens nearly melted from the cuteness. Meanwhile, alien interest in human culture skyrocketed. Galactic entertainment channels started broadcasting human TV shows and movies. Friends became an overnight sensation across the universe, with aliens of all species trying to copy Phoebe's quirky mannerisms. Human fashion took the galaxy by storm. Aliens with tentacles struggled to wear jeans, while gaseous beings tried to figure out how to put on t-shirts. The result was a hilarious mess that only made humans seem more endearing. Even human food became popular. Alien chefs attempted to recreate pizza, often with disastrous and adorable results. One chef from the lava planet Igneous accidentally created a volcanic pizza that erupted cheese. The video of his surprised reaction went viral across 17 star systems. Back on Earth, humans were oblivious to their growing galactic fame. They continued their daily lives, unaware that their every move was being watched and adored by billions of alien beings. In a small town in England, old Mrs. Higgins went about her gardening as usual. She didn't know that her habit of talking to her plants had inspired a new form of alien meditation. Across the galaxy, beings of all shapes and sizes were now chatting with their houseplants, trying to capture that human magic. In Japan, a group of teenagers practicing their dance moves in a park became an interstellar sensation. Alien flash mobs started appearing on planets everywhere, attempting to recreate the humans' synchronized movements. The results were chaotic, but incredibly cute. Even human mistakes became trendy. After a video of a clumsy waiter accidentally creating a new cocktail by mixing the wrong drinks went viral, bars across the galaxy started offering human error specials on their menus. The Galactic Council was in a panic. Their plan to make humans less adorable had backfired spectacularly. Emergency meetings were called, but they always ended the same way, with the council members getting distracted by a new human viral video or cute trend. Zorlax, the head of the council, was at his wit's end. "We need to do something," he cried during one meeting. "The humans are taking over the galaxy without even trying." But it was too late. The revolution of cuteness had begun, and it was unstoppable. As if to prove this point, at that very moment, a human child's drawing of a smiling alien family was being broadcast across the galaxy. Alien children everywhere began creating their own artworks, proudly showing their parents their wobbly attempts at drawing humans. Parents across the universe found themselves stuck in an admirable dilemma. They were supposed to discourage interest in humans, but how could they say no to those cute drawings? As the day ended on Earth, humans went to sleep unaware of the chaos they were causing in space. They didn't know that their simple actions, their little quirks, and their everyday mistakes were reshaping galactic society. In the darkness of space, countless alien eyes watched the sleeping planet with fascination and affection. The human adorableness had intensified beyond anyone's wildest dreams, and the galaxy would never be the same again. As human influence spread across the galaxy, not everyone was thrilled. A group of aliens, frustrated with the constant barrage of human cuteness, decided to take matters into their own tentacles, claws, and appendages. They called themselves the Resistance, though some humans might have found the name adorably dramatic if they knew about it. The leader of this group was Grunk, a grumpy rock-like being from the planet Stenoria. Grunk was tired of seeing his fellow Stenorians trying to dance like humans, which looked like boulders wobbling dangerously, and saying cool in their gravelly voices. "Enough is enough," Grunk rumbled during their first secret meeting. "We must stop this human invasion of adorableness." The assembled aliens roared, buzzed, and flickered in agreement. Among them were Zilks, a slimy creature tired of other aliens trying to shake hands like humans, and Blorp, a gaseous being annoyed that burping was now considered cute thanks to human babies. Their plan was simple: make humans appear less appealing to the rest of the galaxy. They would launch a campaign to show the ugly side of humanity. The Resistance's first move was to broadcast videos of humans doing unattractive things. They showed people picking their noses, failing at dance moves, and making silly faces when eating sour foods. To their horror, these videos had the opposite effect. Aliens found these imperfections charming. Soon, nose-picking became a popular greeting on some planets, and sour face contests were all the rage in alien schools. Undeterred, the Resistance tried again. They focused on human anger, thinking surely this would be unappealing. They showed videos of humans arguing and having tantrums. But even this backfired. Alien couples started playfully arguing with each other, finding it a thrilling and cute way to communicate. On the planet Harmonious, where conflict was unknown, watching human arguments became a popular form of entertainment, with viewers giggling at the silly human way of expressing disagreement. Grunk was frustrated. How can everything they do be adorable? He grumbled during an emergency Resistance meeting. Zilks oozed forward with a new idea. What if we show them sleeping? Surely that's boring. They launched Human ZZ, a 24-hour live stream of humans sleeping. It became an overnight sensation. Aliens found the sight of humans cuddling pillows, sleep-talking, and drooling to be unbearably cute. Insomnia rates across the galaxy plummeted as aliens fell asleep watching humans sleep. The Resistance was getting desperate. In a last-ditch effort, they decided to focus on the most mundane human activities possible. They created a channel showing humans waiting in lines, filling out paperwork, and watching paint dry. Operation Boredom was their biggest failure yet. Aliens were fascinated by the human capacity to wait patiently. Line waiting became a popular meditation technique on many worlds. Some aliens even started painting their walls just so they could watch the paint dry, calling it a human relaxation technique. As news of the Resistance's efforts spread, humans on Earth were more confused than ever. They couldn't understand why aliens would be interested in such boring parts of their lives. In a small office in Ohio, Bob from accounting became an unwitting galactic celebrity. His methodical way of stapling papers was watched by millions of aliens who found his precision adorably fascinating. Bob remained blissfully unaware, wondering why he felt like he was being watched while doing his paperwork. Back at Resistance headquarters, Grunk slumped in defeat. "It's hopeless," he said, his rocky exterior cracking slightly in despair. "Everything we do just makes them more likable." As the Resistance members left, downtrodden and out of ideas, they didn't realize that their failed efforts had only intensified the galaxy's fascination with humans. Across the universe, aliens were more in love with humanity than ever, eagerly mimicking even the most mundane human behaviors. The Galactic Council watched in helpless amazement as human influence continued to grow, all thanks to a group that had tried to stop it. The age of human adorableness was reaching its peak, and the galaxy would never be the same again. As human influence continued to spread, the galaxy descended into adorable chaos. The Galactic Council, once a beacon of order and stability, now struggled to maintain any semblance of control. In the Grand Council chamber, Zorlax rubbed his 4 temples in frustration. "Order. I demand order," he shouted, but his voice was drowned out by the cacophony of alien delegates arguing over human-related issues. On one side of the room, the representatives from Planet Floof were demanding the right to adopt human children. "They're just so squishable," the Floof ambassador squeaked, his fur puffing up with excitement. On the other side, the delegates from the Logico system were calling for Earth to be quarantined. "Their illogical cuteness is infecting our binary thought processes," they beeped in distress. Meanwhile, the fashion-forward Glamorzans were throwing a fit because they couldn't fit into human shoes. "But they're so adorably tiny," their spokesperson wailed, waving a stiletto that looked comically small in their large, glittery hands. As the arguments heated up, the council chamber began to look more like a human kindergarten at recess than an assembly of the galaxy's most powerful beings. In the midst of this chaos, reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. On the desert planet Aridus, the inhabitants had become obsessed with human beach culture. Millions of sand-dwelling creatures were now wearing sunglasses and attempting to surf on sand dunes, resulting in numerous adorable wipeouts. The aquatic beings of Oceania VI had fallen in love with human pool parties. Their entire planet was covered in water, but they still insisted on building small round pools to float in while sipping colorful drinks with tiny umbrellas. Even the warlike Kragan, known for their fearsome battle cries, had been affected. They now ended every threat with "pretty please" with a cherry on top, thinking it made them sound more human-like. Their enemies found this so cute that wars were being ended with hugs instead of battles. Back on Earth, humans remained largely oblivious to the galactic turmoil they were causing. However, strange occurrences were becoming more frequent as some aliens took their human obsession too far. In New York, a hot dog vendor was shocked to find a group of blob-like aliens attempting to disguise themselves as hot dogs. They thought this would help them understand the human obsession with tubular meat. In a small town in Japan, residents were puzzled by the sudden appearance of perfectly cubic watermelons in their fields. Unbeknownst to them, aliens from a square planet were trying to make Earth fruits more relatable to their children. As these incidents multiplied, Earth's government struggled to keep them under wraps. The Department of Extraterrestrial Communications was working overtime, trying to manage the increasing alien incursions without causing a global panic. Dr. Chen, now promoted to Global Alien Response Coordinator, barely slept as she dealt with one crisis after another. "No, Mr. President," she said tiredly into her phone. "We can't stop aliens from stealing our socks. They think it's how we reproduce." The situation was reaching a boiling point. Some alien species were demanding to join the United Nations. Others were offering to trade advanced technology for lessons in human dance moves. A few were even threatening war if they weren't allowed to pet more dogs. As the galactic community teetered on the brink of collapse, all eyes turned to Earth. Humans, with their oblivious charm, had unintentionally become the most powerful force in the universe. In the Galactic Council chamber, as the chaos reached its peak, Zorlax made a decision. With a heavy heart and all four hands trembling, he picked up the ceremonial gavel. The fate of the galaxy now rested in the hands of the very species that had unintentionally thrown it into chaos. The stage was set for the final, adorable showdown. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what the humans would do next. As the galaxy teetered on the brink of chaos, the humans finally realized the full extent of their unintentional conquest. It was time for Earth to take action. In an emergency United Nations session, world leaders gathered to address the galactic crisis they had unknowingly created. The room was tense, filled with a mix of confusion, amusement, and concern. "People of Earth," began the UN Secretary-General, her voice echoing through the hall. "It seems we have accidentally charmed the entire galaxy. Our next steps will determine the future of intergalactic relations." As the leaders debated, a surprising solution emerged from an unexpected source. Little Timmy, a 10-year-old boy who had sneaked into the UN building on a dare, spoke up during a break in the proceedings. "Why don't we just be nice to everyone?" he suggested, munching on a cookie he'd swiped from the refreshments table. The simplicity and innocence of his statement struck a chord. The world leaders looked at each other, then burst into laughter. It was so perfectly, adorably human. And just like that, Earth had its plan. Operation Kindness was launched. Humans would embrace their adorableness and use it to bring peace to the galaxy. They would kill with kindness. Figuratively, of course. As news of the plan spread, humans everywhere joined in. They sent messages of friendship to the stars, filled with jokes, cute animal pictures, and offers of playdates. Children's drawings of smiling aliens were broadcast into space. Recipes for comfort foods were transmitted to every corner of the galaxy. The response was overwhelming. Alien civilizations, charmed beyond measure by this display of openness and warmth, began to calm down. The warlike Kragan, touched by a child's crayon drawing of a Kragan warrior hunting the human, declared an end to all hostilities. They transformed their fearsome battle cruisers into intergalactic ice cream trucks, spreading joy and brain freeze throughout the cosmos. The logical beings of the Logico system, after receiving a long transmission of human dad jokes, discovered the joy of illogical humor. Their binary society evolved to embrace the beauty of paradoxes and puns. Even Grunk, the leader of the failed resistance, was not immune. After watching a video of a human grandmother teaching her alien neighbors how to knit, he decided to take up the hobby. Soon, the rocky surface of planet Stenoria was covered in colorful, knobbly sweaters. Back at the Galactic Council, Zorlax watched in amazement as centuries-old conflicts were resolved with human-inspired pillow fights and dance-offs. Planetary trade disagreements were settled over friendly games of Duck Duck Goose. "I don't believe it," Zorlax muttered, a smile spreading across his face. "They've done it. They've brought peace to the galaxy by being themselves." As a gesture of goodwill, the Council voted unanimously to make Earth the galactic capital of cuteness. Humans were appointed as official ambassadors of adorableness, tasked with spreading joy and fostering understanding among all species. On Earth, humans celebrated their new role in the galactic community. Schools started offering classes in interstellar friendship. Diplomats trained in the art of the perfect hug. The International Space Station was renovated to include a petting zoo for visiting alien dignitaries. Little Timmy, whose simple suggestion had sparked the revolution, was honored as a galactic peacemaker. He gave a speech at the UN, standing on a box to reach the microphone. "Being nice is easy," he said, flashing a toothy grin that made several alien ambassadors coo in delight. "Everyone should try it." As the sun set on this new era of peace, humans looked to the stars with wonder and excitement. They had conquered the galaxy not with weapons or technology, but with kindness, silliness, and an unwavering ability to be adorably themselves. The universe would never be the same, and that was perfectly fine with everyone. After all, it was now a much cuter place to live.